centers each week in addition to your lesson plans can seem like so much work. But what if I told you that planning and prepping centers for the week could be done in about 30 minutes on a Friday before leaving for the weekend? In today's episode, I'm going to share how I planned and prepped my centers each week in only 30 minutes on Friday. Stay tuned. What's kicking, educational rock stars? Welcome back to another episode of Teaching Made Easy. I'm Farah, the Center Fairy, your ultimate source into the wonderful world of simple classroom systems that actually work so that you can finally get back to what you love, teaching. If this is your first time joining me here on the channel, be sure you hit that like and that subscribe button and click that bell so that you get notified when I go live or upload a new video here on the channel. Listen, I get it. You hate writing lesson plans. I did too. It seemed like absolute busy work handed down from the admin, and when turned in, truly probably never even got looked at by the higher ups. This isn't to say I wouldn't make lesson plans, but let's be real. Lesson plans that are usable for us as teachers versus the long drawn out plans that we're required to turn in are very different. Now, on top of these lengthy lesson plans, we need to plan and prep center activities for our small groups. Does it ever end? Well, this week, I'm continuing my series of answering some of the most asked questions I get in my emails and DMs. How do you plan and prep your centers each week? Planning and prepping your center activities doesn't have to be daunting, and it can be done in just a few minutes a week before leaving for the weekend. Imagine going home on the weekend knowing that your centers are ready to go for Monday morning. Now, what makes this possible? Being organized and being prepared. First, get your centers organized. If you haven't already, be sure you check out my episode from a few weeks ago. I'm going to leave a link in the description. This episode is going to help you get your centers organized so that you can easily grab the centers you need to switch out and put in the centers, and then put those used centers back so that you'll be able to find them for later if needed. Now, in that episode, I also shared my 3 steps to organizing your math and literacy centers guide, complete with the labels to get your center organization system set up. Now that your center organization system is set up, it's time to plan those centers. One of the biggest mistakes that I see teachers make is thinking that planning centers means that they have to do their weekly lesson plans before they can even plan their center activities. Actually, this isn't the best use of your center time. Centers should be review and enrichment only. They're not a place to put activities for skills your students are learning that week. Centers are supposed to be independent work so that you can teach in small groups. But if you include activities from skills that you're teaching that week, your students most likely will not be able to work independently. My rule of thumb is that at least 2 weeks prior. When planning my centers, I grab my lesson plans from 2 weeks ago and I quickly jot down the skills that I want to put into my centers. Now that I have my plan, it's time to prep. Now, prepping your center activities is best done when you have a little pre-work put in. Now, this pre-work can be done either during summer before school begins, or you can do it in batches throughout the year. Personally, I like my summer vacation, so I typically prep activities in batches 4 to 6 weeks at a time. Now, once these centers are prepped, I'm going to put them in the boxes for my organization system so that I can quickly find them each week when I'm prepping my weekly centers. Now, in order to pull center activities from those boxes, you're going to need activities in the boxes. This is why we developed our year-long math and literacy center bundles for grades K through 5. We've broken them up into monthly units and based on the general time frame in which a skill would be taught. However, we know that every teacher's classroom is different, so we've included a handy center guide for you to find the standard that you're looking for and quickly find the month and the volume that those activities are found in. The best part is we have 2 volumes, so one has holiday themes and one doesn't, and each volume is unique activities so that they cover most of the math and literacy standards that you're going to be teaching at your grade level. We're actually currently working on our expansion packs to help fill in so that you are going to be able to have centers for every single standard you teach in your grade. Those expansion packs are coming soon, but you can get started with volume 1 and volume 2 now. Just check the links in the description. Now, having your centers ready in those boxes is what makes this so simple. So let's start with that. How do you batch prep your centers if you don't want to do it during the summer or you're starting this mid-year? Well, I would pick a day each month to print the centers. Then I would pick another day to laminate them. And then I would pick another day to do the cutting and organizing into the boxes. In 3 days, usually about an hour and a half to 2 hours after school, I can have an entire month centers ready to pull. I always did this ahead of time, so think it's September, so I'm going to be prepping October centers. The best part of this is that once they're created, you don't have to do this again, and subsequent years are even simpler. Okay, so let's get back to how easy it is to plan and prep your centers each week in just 30 minutes on a Friday before leaving. First, all used centers are removed from their boxes and placed on my teacher table. Second, I'm going to grab my lesson plans from 2 weeks prior and pick the skills that I want to have in my centers for the following week. Third, I check my handy dandy center guide to find the unit that the skills I want are in, and then I pull those centers from my beautifully organized boxes. Fourth, place those new centers out with any manipulatives and supplies needed for that activity. Next, return the used centers to their proper boxes so that I can find them later if I need them. Next, turn that light off and leave for the weekend knowing that my centers are ready to go for next week. It's that simple. Now, I get asked all the time about how many centers do you need to prep for the month. I typically prep about 20 to 25 centers. It really depends on how many I'm going to need in my rotations, but on average, I'm going to do like 8 activities for literacy and 8 math activities each week. So if you're a math person, you're probably thinking, Farrah, that math ain't mathin', because 8 math activities a week for a month means 32 activities, not if you reuse activities. I typically prep 20 to 25 activities. Use 8 for week 1, another 8 for week 2, 4 new and 4 from week 1 for week 3, 4 new and 4 from week 2 for week 4. Now, this is going to make it easy on me because I'm not having to recreate centers every single week, and my students are getting the repetition that they need in order to get the extra review they need for the skills. It's a win-win. And no, they didn't get bored. They were able to work independently, be successful in centers, and I was able to teach in small groups, all without having to write a second set of lesson plans each week. Now, if you're looking for more tips, strategies, and simple systems to take back into your classroom to make your teacher life easier, check out the other videos on your screen. Thanks for watching, and keep being an educational rock star.